welcome back. Thank you for checking in. So, let's talk about setting boundaries and emotional self care. So, when people think of self care, they think of like bubble baths and getting their nails done, getting their hair done. Everything is on the outside. But you also got to take care of your inner you and your emotions, right? Because your emotions can pretty much guide your life. Your emotions can really take over and control everything around you. And so I learned that one of the things about emotional self care is setting up boundaries. And I don't exactly have boundaries, right? Like, I don't know how to set that up. I don't really know what boundaries are they talking about or anything. And so I had to look it up. So, boundaries is pretty much setting up a line, like an invisible line, of the things that support you and the things that detach you, right? So I had to sit there and I had to think about it. And I was like, what's the point of setting up boundaries? So healthy boundaries are pretty much a limit that you could put on your body, your mind, your emotions, your spirits, and stuff like that, right? And some of the ideas for setting up boundaries is setting up boundaries can be for family, for friends, for relationships, for strangers, for coworkers. And some of the personal boundaries is like personal space or emotional, sexual, morals, ethics, um, time, social media. All of that is setting up boundaries. And if you don't have those boundaries, it can really take effect. And I learned that's one of the things that's lacking, right? I don't have boundaries in place. So I'm letting people say whatever, do whatever, and I'm just going with it, going with it, regardless of how it makes me feel, regardless of how I think, or regardless of whatever. And the next thing you know, I'm the one taking the toll. I'm the one that's crying or hurting or upset or angry or taken advantage of because I let so many people and so many things into my space. And like I said, over time that becomes a lot. And this is like 30 years of letting people into my space, of letting things into my space. And it's been taking and taking and taking every ounce of breath, every ounce of emotions, every ounce of physical and mental capacity to the point where there's nothing left for just myself. So I've been struggling. And, I was talking to my therapist and stuff, and it's like, this has all been building, right? And building and building and building to the point where it just bloomed into so many emotions that I cannot handle. And one of the things she asked me was, have you ever thought about setting up boundaries? I was like, Doc, that's another thing I don't know how to do. What do you mean by boundaries? Like, you talking about boundaries like around a house? Or you talking about bedroom? Like, what is this? And one of the first things she said is setting up boundaries starts with saying no. Regardless of how sad they are, how much they need you, how much it can change, whatever, it's saying no. Because if it takes away from you, right? If it affects your time, if it affects your energy, your mental state, your physical state, if it affects anything that you have going for you, then it's a no. And you got to be okay with saying no, and they got to be okay with you saying no. That's the first step of saying boundaries. I was like, no is like impossible. I don't know how to say no. Like, I could say no, no, all day long. But when it comes to people that I care about, people that I love, people that I feel like that needs me, I can't say no to them. But she's right. Like over time, you start diminishing you because you keep saying yes to everything else. And so, like boundaries are needed. Boundaries are needed, and it's something that takes a toll on your self-esteem, your self-confidence, your self-care. Like it becomes emotionally draining without them. So one way of setting up boundaries is to like visually and name your boundaries, right? Like get a journal or notepad or whatever and write down some of the things that you are struggling with as far as boundaries. Like whether it's struggling sexually, mentally, emotionally, with your space, with your time, whatever the case may be. Write down some of the things that you want to set boundaries around. Like, for example, what gives me um, positive emotions, positive energy, what doesn't? Who gives me positive energy, who doesn't? Who values my time, who disrespects my time? Who, um, what makes me enjoy the day, what do I dread? Like, that's one of the things to start asking yourself. And I have to think back because I didn't know where to even start, right? Like there's a lot of people, well not a lot of people, I only have like 5, 6 people that's in my life that has been known to be both positive and negative, right? So it's like how do I set boundaries for that? Because they can help me, but then they can also make me feel worse. They can brighten my whole day or they can make the whole day, sad. So that was one of the things that was confusing for me. And she was like, okay, so name some of the positive things that they would do, right? On a good day, what would they do? Look at the bad things that they do. The bad things is what you need to set boundaries around. Accept the good, get rid of the bad. So if you know on a good day, they talk to you, they hold your hands, they're affectionate, they listen to you, all this, something positive, okay. But if you notice that during this time, they're angry about this, or they're yelling at you about that, or they're not giving you your affection, they want to play games, they want to smoke, they want to do whatever, and they're not listening to you, that's where the boundaries come in place, right? Like, I get that you want to do your games, or you want to smoke, or you want to hang out with your friends or whatever, but at the same time, where am I in this? Like, let's say for example, this is one of the days, this is one of the bad days that I'm having, but instead of thinking and caring about me, you got to be out there. Like that right there is not okay, because I'll give everything to you to make sure that you're okay, to make sure you're having a good day, and you can't do the same thing for me. That's where I set up boundaries. Another thing you do is set up a circle. So you draw a circle and you draw, and in the middle you write everything that is stress free, that's positive. Um, your boyfriend gives you candy. Um, you were able to say no, or you told someone that you couldn't make it at a certain time and they understood that, or whatever, something that's positive, something that causes you stress free, something that just brightens the day. On the outside, write the stuff that affects you, right? That is a negative impact on you. For example, it could be your mom controlling your life. It could be a stranger at your job trying to tell you what to do, like little stuff like that, right on the outside, what causes you so much stress that really impacts your life. And so that circle is pretty much a visual manifestation of what your limits are. And the outside is what's pretty much controlling and not respecting your boundaries. That could be another visual way to know what you need to set boundaries around, where you need to put your limits at. And that can also tell you who's truly for you, who truly respects you, who truly values you, who truly appreciates you, and who doesn't. Because once those boundaries are in place, I feel like you can truly see where people stand with you. Once you say no, once you say you can't do this, once you tell them they can't control your life, once you like, it goes for family also. Like once you tell your mom, I'm doing this, and that's it. If she continues to push or be negative or disrespectful or whatever, that right there shows you that I can only tell you so much, or I can only do so much. So like, you have so much to say about me being a mental health counselor or being a cosmetologist or whatever, then I'm only going to tell you the limits of that. I'll tell you, for example, I can say I passed my class. That's it. That's all I'm telling you. Or work was fine. I had 3 or 4 clients. That's it. Like, you don't have to go into detail, because if they're not going to be supportive, why tell them anything more? Just give them the bare minimum. Like, and go from there. Same thing with your boyfriend. If your boyfriend or your girlfriend is trying to control your life or whatever, you can tell them, look, I am my own person. You are your own person. We are together. But you do got to make sure you communicate your boundaries. Like, for example, let's say you have a birthday party to go to, but you also have a dinner date. If you go to that birthday party, tell them that you can only be there for an hour, or you're going to be there for 30 minutes, or you're going to be there for this long, because you have other plans. If they respect you, they would have said, okay, well, do this, do that, or, enjoy your time, or enjoy the food, or whatever, and call it a day. If they got something to say, and they're arguing with you, or they're upset, or they're mad or disappointed, whatever, that right there shows no respect for you. If someone tells you, I need help with getting from A to B, and you're not having a good day and you don't have the energy to do that, and you tell them, hey, I'm not feeling good today, I don't have the energy to do that or whatever, and they got something to say about it, that's a problem. Now they say, oh, okay, well, I hope you feel better, or I hope your day turns around, I'll figure something out, blah blah blah. That right there is respect. So it's little things like that, but you have to be open with it, because people can't read your minds. Nobody can read minds. I don't care what the movies say. So you got to be open with your boundaries, and that's something that I got to work on. Right? I need to journal and write, the boundaries and stuff that makes my day, and I also need to write the stuff that doesn't make my day, and figure out how to make boundaries around it. Now, I know it sounds easier than how it's going to be. Like, I understand that this may actually be a difficult process, but it's a process that's needed. It's a process that goes along with emotional self-care, mental self-care. It's a process. It's something that is needed in order to better yourself and your wellness. So, that's the goal that we have today. This weekend, I want you to write, draw, whatever, put your boundaries on a list, in a circle, or a design, however you want to do it. Put the good and the bad and the ugly on whatever, and try to figure out how to set up boundaries around that. And once those boundaries in place, learn how to communicate those boundaries. That's all I got for you guys. Enjoy your weekend. Bye.